This is Marketing Fundamentals with Bob. Topic 14, pricing. Well, let's first of all take a broad overview of pricing issues and concepts by looking at some certain pricing objectives. And basically we got profit-oriented, sales-oriented, and status quo. And basically an ultimate strategy that we have is probably going to be some combination of all these things, particularly profit-oriented vis-a-vis sales-oriented. So let's kind of think about these guys one at a time here. Profit maximization, by definition, I'm setting my prices so that my total revenue is as large as possible relative to total costs. Duh. Yeah, of course, all marketing decisions are basically activities that are directing ourselves so that long-term profit is basically going to be the maximization, and we're going to look at the organization doing maximized profits over time, sure. Unambiguous examples of this, motels, apartment buildings. If they're running 98, 99% full, the prices are too low. They need to raise the prices. Contrast, if they're, say, running 40, 45%, then maybe you'd be better to lower the price a bit, might raise the total revenue. But let's look at a more complex example. Let's say we've got a sold-out sporting event, totally sold out. Tickets are $40 each. They're going to sell every single ticket, but they have a deal here in which if kids are under 12, accompanied by an adult, you can get in for $1. That's not maximizing your profits. So when you think about that, wait a second. I can sell that seat for 40 bucks. Why would I sell it for $1? Well, this is again the point on long-term profit maximization. Yeah, I don't make all the money today, but if I get those kids coming in there now, they're my customers of the future, and maybe in 10 years, 15 years, they're coming in, they're paying the full price, bringing dates, drinking beers, buying snacks and all this sort of thing. So that's what we're saying here is we're looking at a long-term view instead of just a short-term one. Then we have our sales-oriented pricing objectives. Now, in some circumstances, basically, maximizing sales may be my number one objective. Profit maximization is secondary, at least in the short term. Within this, we would have market share pricing. And that is to say, I might have a marketing strategy. I want to gain trial. I want to establish distribution and a dominant position for the product in the customer's mind. This, as we're going to see momentarily, is known as penetration pricing. I want to get in there, penetrate that marketplace, and I'm not going to worry about the profits right off. Sales maximization, I may be looking at total dollars. Maybe I just need maximum dollars out. Hey, I get a mortgage payment due at the end of the month. I've got to make enough dollars getting in here in the next few weeks in order to pay off that mortgage payment. I can max dollars, however I do it, or I'm going to get foreclosed upon, something like that. Maximum units. November 1st, you can get pretty good prices on Halloween candy. November 1st, they want to get rid of it. Just max the units. Get those units out of here, whatever it takes. Status quo pricing, I would have maintaining existing prices, aka satisfactory profits, on this pharmaceutical companies. Pharmaceutical companies might come out with a real blockbuster drug. They know they can sell it because people got to have it, but they don't price it as high as they possibly could in the marketplace. They want to keep the government off their ass. They don't want troubles, so they're going to basically take an idea. We'll take satisfactory profits in this case. Or I've got it, the people who've been working on my 79 Cutlass all these years down at Doug Ivy's Auto, across from Kmart down there on 9 Mile Road. I've said to these guys on several occasions, you guys don't charge enough money around here. You're charging a lower price than the dealerships, you do better work. And their answer is, yep, we know we could. We could charge more money, but we've got a lot of long-term customers. We want to take care of our customers. We're happy to do that. We're making enough here. On meeting the competitors' prices, aka follow the leader pricing. The old days, that was the auto and steel industries. Oh, coming out with a new model, General Motors would announce the prices on Ford and Chrysler. They'd follow a couple days later with their prices for the new model year. In the steel business, U.S. Steel would announce what their new price increase was. Everybody else would follow these guys. It's really interesting to me to watch gas prices. There's certain price leaders in the marketplace. Lately it's been Dodges. Dodges will raise the price by 6 cents, and son of a gun, 2 hours later, Tom Thumb raises it by 6 cents, and an hour after that, Circle K raises by 6 cents. So in those cases, they're not really taking pricing leadership. They're just kind of They're just kind of basically saying, well, what the other guy does, we'll let that price be it, and we'll follow that one. Now, let's take a look here very briefly at equilibrium pricing theory. A little economic theory here, but note for those of you taking this course for credit, I'm not going to ask this on the exam. Basically, on the graph we got here, price goes up, supply goes up. Price goes up, demand goes down. So they intersect at a point in which you sell a certain amount at a certain price. Okay, that's how things work for commodities like oil and pork bellies in the commodities market. Yeah, that's for sure. But the theory of this kind of can break down for a lot of situations in the real world. Like in the real world, supply may be a given, can't increase the supply. I've got a certain size peach crop this year. My question is, at what price can I sell it to get rid of all of them? So, like for instance, I watch the weather in Chilton County, Alabama every year late in March. Are we going to have a freeze? This past year we had warm weather right through March, all the way through March, no freezes, no nothing. I knew we would have a bountiful peach crop. And I was getting my baskets of peaches down at Bailey's for 15 bucks. The year before, we got a freeze, just nailed them about the third week in March, and hit those peaches, and $20, but that's what it is. They've got so many peaches, this is the price we're going to charge to get rid of them all. You may have another situation, supply is totally unlimited. Let's say you're in the chocolate chip cookie business. Well, the bakeries can make more chocolate chip cookies than the world could ever eat. Supply is absolutely and positively unlimited overall. Now, you got other situations here. In an oligopoly, the old companies, or a monopolistic competition, the major food manufacturers, it's very difficult for new sellers to get into the marketplace, especially short term, to increase supply and therefore lower prices. Yeah, just try to get an appointment with the buying committee and try to get shelf space for your chocolate chip cookies in the supermarket or at the movie theater. It just ain't gonna happen. So in the real world, what winds up happening is a market manager is going to make their pricing decisions based upon the demand curve. And that is to say, how much can I expect to sell at a given price? So when you look at pricing objectives, the pricing objective is kind of a function of a marketing objective. What's the desired result that a certain price is going to bring about? And we're going to note some of these strategies presently. Here's another little analysis we want to take a look at here too, a break-even analysis. And for any proposed strategy, you're going to run one of these things, a break-even analysis. How much basically have I got to sell at a given price to recover my fixed costs? Because I start off at zero quantity, I've still got certain costs, my fixed costs. And then I've got certain revenue which starts at zero and increases, and at a certain point there, I sell a certain quantity. Now, and I'm doing this, and I'll consider a number of different potential prices and kind of begin to see what's my break even at a number of these things here. Like for instance, I might decide on my break even analysis at the very best I can do. Son of a gun, at the price I can charge for this thing, I can't break even for 3 years. Forget it, is what it's telling you. Or you might say, my goodness, we could break even in this thing in 60 days. Hey, let's go for it. But what we're doing here, we're considering a couple items. Fixed costs. Little economics again. Remember, fixed costs do not change as output is increased or decreased. Well, that's true, but that's within ranges. Like for instance, let's say you're going to build a manufacturing facility to make new cars, and it'll make a million cars a year. Well, you have to put out this fixed cost to make car number one. You have no further increase in that thing for car number two or car number three, da-da-da-da-da. But it goes in stair steps. Because when I get to car number 1,000,001, I have to buy a whole new factory. And then I go with that one for a while to 2 million, then I have to buy a new one. So it's a stair step, and ultimately, when you're thinking about it, everything is kind of reduced to variable costs in the long run. But let's keep the thing in mind, let's kind of keep in mind that at least within this range we've got, the fixed costs don't change. The variable costs, then, are the costs directly associated with producing one more unit. So going back to my cookies, the fixed costs will be my plant, my equipment, the ovens to bake the cookies, the machinery to package the end product, the variable costs, the dough, the chocolate chips, the bags, and all this sort of thing. And so what I'm wondering on my basic break-even analysis is saying at a given price, and I'll choose a number of different prices, how many units have I got to sell to recover my fixed costs, and how long it's going to take me to beat? Now, if you're taking the course on the exam, I'll throw in a real simple example, like say, for instance, My selling price is $225. Now, remember, selling price is what I sell it to my channel member for. That's what I get for it. So I'm selling it for $225. My variable costs are, say, $145. So what's my gross profit per unit? Well, $225 minus $145, $80. Okay, simple enough. Say I got my fixed costs, $8,000. So my break-even quantity is, well, I get $8,000 divided by $80 a unit, so it's $100. That's it. That's really what it is. That's pretty simple on that. So let's take a look now at some of the considerations we have here on actually going through and setting the price and basically see how we go and integrate pricing into our marketing plan. My step number one here is establish pricing goals, which is better stated, establish my marketing goals. And yeah, I would love to have the highest attainable unit sales plus the highest possible short-term and long-term profits. I can't have all. So essentially what I got to do is I got to make trade-offs between short-term and long-term sales and profit objectives. So I start with that thing. The second step I do then is I kind of will estimate my sales and my profits at a number of given pricing levels. Now here's where we begin to bring strategy into this thing and begin to consider how I might want to go. I might consider, is my product elastic or inelastic in demand? A lot of implications on that, what your strategy might be. If the demand is very elastic, raising the price is going to radically change my sales. Well, I might not have as much flexibility on pricing. If the demand is inelastic, I can go in with higher prices and still maintain the sales. That tells me something. I've got a question really also, what stage am I in the product life cycle? That's going to tell me a lot about what my pricing opportunities are. Another thing here too, what is the availability of competitive products and alternatives, substitutes that are out in the marketplace here? Do people really need me or can they get something else here? I'm going to then go out and look at all these different possible pricing levels and check out the return on investment that I'm going to get over a year, 2, 3, and so forth. Raise the question, is the whole strategy viable in the first place? So I'll kind of assess different marketing opportunities. I might look at different capital investments as possibilities instead of going into this venture here. And raise the question as I start looking at what my return on investment is. Do I want to get into this venture in the first place? Should I divest? If I get a product that's become a dog, do I want to even keep this thing in my portfolio at this time? You might decide, in fact, you're better off buying treasuries than to get in the first place. And what happens with us as we begin looking at this, the pricing strategy and what is quote-unquote the right price kind of evolves as I kind of look at some of these alternative scenarios and implement the attendant strategies. Let's take a look at some of these examples of pricing strategy. Price skimming. That's a profit maximization strategy. It gets the cream off the top of the market. Now think about that one. Get the cream off the top of the market. Exactly what is that metaphor all about? Most of you younger people out there have been dealing with milk that's been homogenized all your life. Well, going back to the old days, milk was delivered to your door at home. The milkman came up and drove the truck up to bring the milk, and they put it in the milk box there, and then had returnable bottles, and you return the bottles. And anyhow, milk wasn't homogenized. So what Mommy and Daddy did is they take the milk and they would skim off the cream for their coffee, and we kids would get the skimmed milk, which they now just call skim milk. So that's the skimming off the top of the marketplace here. Well, think about how you would take that kind of a price skimming strategy, getting the cream off the top of the market early in the product life cycle. So I'm getting the innovators that got to have the product that are willing to pay more money for it here. Inelastic demand. I'm going to sell about as much at a higher price, lower price, and I got little or no competition coming into the marketplace, and I'm saying, son of a gun, competition can't be in the marketplace for 6 months or so. That might be a viable strategy. So I would come in with a high initial price, lower it if and when competition comes in, but I've skimmed the profit off the top of the market. That is very closely related to prestige pricing. Starbucks basically at the high end of the marketplace, the niche brand with a high price. Joy Perfume claims proudly that it is the most expensive perfume in the world. I Googled expensive sport cars. There's one, I think it's a Lamborghini, $2 million for Lamborghini. Wow. But some people would just like to think that they drive a Lamborghini. and the $2 million car, they want to have that thing. They got to have it, but fine, take their money. It's sort of like I had a student. He's looking at a $200 bottle of wine where he's basically waiting tables. I wouldn't feel guilty. He winds up getting about $30 on a tip on the thing. And he's saying to me, why? This is crazy. Why is anybody paying $200 for a bottle of wine? You can't tell it from a $30 bottle of wine, except this guy wants to impress his date that he's just spent $200 on a bottle of wine because you know what he has in mind after dinner, and figures if he spent the $200 bottle of wine that he might get a quid pro quo, but he better not phrase it that way. Anyhow, that's in contrast to penetration pricing, which is a profit maximization strategy, and basically a sales maximization strategy. I'm out there in this thing to preempt my competition, discourage them from entering the marketplace at all. So I'm going in there and I want to achieve dominant market share and positioning and reap my profits later. Maybe. That's a problem with penetration pricing. I'm trying to maximize my sales up front, and I just want to get in there and build the market share and have all the customers is synonymous with the category, figuring that, well, over time, I'll sort of get my profits. Well, you may get your profits unless a whole bunch of competitors come in. That's sort of what happened in the internet bubble. But on this strategy, a penetration pricing strategy, may be what you got to do if you want to be a serious player as a late entry in an established market, anywhere from home pizza delivery to 3D TV. So in all of these little games, let's take a note of some of these legal considerations that we have to deal with here. Unfair trade practices, setting the floor on overall prices. Technically, you've got to have a 6% retail markup, a 2% wholesale market. That's a joke. Those are not enforced, not at all. Those are an illegitimate offspring of what was called the fair trade laws going back to the 30s. Hey, I'll say this. Whoever came up with the name fair trade laws understood about marketing. It's sort of like family values. How can you be against family values? Are you against the family? Or it's, I'm in favor of, I'm in favor of American freedom. I'm in favor of that. Or I'm in favor of life. How can you be against me? You're against life, against fair trade. The fair trade laws were anything but fair trade. They came in the 30s as the supermarkets were starting to come in the game, and some manufacturers are saying, well, we've got to protect the little guys, so we're going to fair trade the price of our product. So a can of shaving cream was fair trade priced at $1.99 if you bought it at the little mom and pop store or you bought it at the supermarket. So it's just fair trade. Well, what it meant, of course, is we can maintain an everyday high price, especially in a non-discretionary item, and no one price promotes it, so we can get our full margin all the time. That was fair trade. Anyhow, those things were a joke. No one's going to worry about that too much. But you cannot go out there and specifically set prices with the objective of driving the competition out of business, though that is, of course, what you really do want to do. Does anybody really think that Toyota wants to live in peaceful cooperation and coexistence with General Motors? No, they want to drive them out of business. Do you really think Budweiser wants to live in peaceful coexistence with Miller? No, they want to drive them out of business. But you got to be cool about it. Do you note some hypocrisy in all this? But anyhow, that's what you got to do. So you cannot go and do predatory pricing. That's a whole different game. Can't do that. That comes back to the old Standard Oil scenario, 1906. Just getting gas stations going in the country, they had it. They had the marketplace. And they were selling the gasoline, but they didn't want competition coming in. So they got a place that's like they're sitting in Dodges there, and they're selling gas at $3.25 a gallon. And someone decides they're going to open up the little old Albertsons convenience store across the street there, and someone comes in at $3.25 a gallon. What Standard Oil would do, they drop the price to $2.75. Well, the guy across the street got to charge $2.75, but can't stay in business. Goes to $2.75. They drop it to $1.99. Drives the guy out of business. As soon as the guy's out of business, they kick the price back up again. No, you can't do that. That's similar to the worldwide complaints against Microsoft that came in for giving people free software, low prices until they had a dominant market share and then raising them out. Price fixing, they'll get you on that. They'll get you on price fixing. Two or more firms conspiring to set prices. Like, for instance, I got a small market, a couple of airlines serving the city, and the heads of the airlines get together and say, hey, why are we running fair deals? Let's run high everyday prices here. There's no reason to price everything in the marketplace here. Let's just take high prices. No, that's price fixing. Or someone's really stupid. Some healthcare association in a community sends out an email to all the healthcare providers suggesting minimum fees for services. No, you can't do that, especially on an email. Or, hey, here's one. Distributors and stores get together and say, why are we running beer specials around here? It's basically, this is a product, this is an elastic demand in this thing. People are going to buy their beer. They're going to drink the beer and all this stuff. Why should we be running our product on sale and do that? No, let's run high everyday prices on beer. We're going to make a whole lot more profit by doing that sort of thing here. You better not, no, you can't get to do that, but here's what you do, again. Environmental management, get the lobbyists to do it. That's what they did in Georgia. In Georgia now, it's illegal to run an ad on liquor specials and all that. You can't even put an ad on the window of the store. In fact, you can't even have it so that if someone walks up to the window of the store and looks in, that they can see it from outside. That's how they got it done. So we don't, now I would agree, on occasion you could run a beer special and someone's going to go drink a whole bunch more, but by and large, you got pretty much a product there that if we maintained at high everyday price on it, be a lot more profitability overall. Yeah, let's kind of just keep the high everyday price on this. Price discrimination, no, that's illegal. Charging different prices for the same item is illegal according to the Robinson-Patman Act, but you can get around that one too. Quantity discounts, performance requirements, rolling promotions. Let's say I'm Coke. I want to run big holiday promotions I want to run Memorial Day at Publix. I want to run 4th of July at Food World. I want to run Labor Day at Winn-Dixie. So I can do that. But Barnes, I don't really care about giving Barnes an offer like this. Well, technically, I've got to offer it to everybody. But what I can do is I can offer a rolling promotion and give it to Barnes the second week in February. That'll do it. I can do that. And I sure don't want to offer deals to Circle K and the convenience stores because people are expecting to pay a higher price there. Why should I run a big price promo at those stores? Performance requirements. I'll require a 1,000-case minimum order. I'll require a 300-case display. That'll kill that. That'll take care of that thing. And then we got geographic pricing. And in geographic pricing, we've got this concept of FOB, free on board. That is the point at which the title passes. So when I say FOB origin pricing, that means the title passes at the seller's dock. And so basically, when we're having on FOB origin pricing, the buyer is paying the transportation, and the transportation cost for the buyer will be higher the further away they are. Uniform delivered pricing, by contrast, says basically we get the same price for everybody, every place. And on that thing, like a first-class letter. If I'm Pensacola, I can mail a first-class letter to Milton or to Fairbanks, same price. An e-tailer. E-tailer, like Amazon, is charging shipping and handling based upon the size of the order. It doesn't make any difference where you live. And what that does is by doing that, it lets the seller maintain a nationally advertised price for everybody. By contrast, zone pricing says I'll divide the country or the world into a manageable number of areas and charge different prices by the different areas. So again, come back to the shipping a package to Milton. It's going to cost me less money to ship a package to Milton than it will to Fairbanks going through the United Parcel Service or Parcel Post. Or another company is charging, a company in the East, makes it simple. They say we're going to charge $5 shipping east of the Mississippi, $8 shipping west of the Mississippi. So freight absorption pricing, where they're technically absorbing the cost of the freight, which means it's included in the total price, is the same thing as uniform delivered pricing. Basing point pricing, with this one, you select one or more points as bases and charge shipping from there, irregardless of where it's ever shipped from. So a good for the customer example might be that you're buying something from a company, they have a warehouse in Houston. They're charging you shipping from Houston, even if on one of the items they don't have it in Houston, they got to ship it in from Seattle. They still charge you from Houston to the nearest base point. Bad for customer example, when I bought the Cutlass back in 1979, I'm living in Chamblee, Georgia. I'm negotiating with the dealership. They're taking me basing point pricing, FOB Detroit. They're charging me $283 to ship that car from Detroit, even though it's being made the next town or over in Doraville, 4 miles away. So I said to the dealer, tell you what, forget that $283 shipping charge. I'll just go over to Doraville and pick it up. And they said to me, well, you can't do that because the car is not drivable. It has to go to the dealership to be done something to it, to make it drivable or something like that. So I said, no, that's not a problem. I got some of these guys in the rugby team here, for the cost of a couple of kegs of beer, we can all go over to Doraville and push the thing over to Chambly. Oh, no, can't do that. They nailed me on it. So anyhow, some other tactics we have here on pricing. We've got captive pricing. I'll give you something, or I'll sell it to you super cheap, and make my money selling component parts. Hey, this one goes back to the early 50s, was that strategy came up. Paper towels were just coming on. You people cannot imagine what the world was like back in the days in which there were no paper towels. They were all cloth. There weren't disposable diapers, if you can imagine this, cloth diapers. And the diaper truck came by every week, and you kept all the dirty diapers over here, and you hand them to the guy, and then he'd give you clean diapers. All new stuff. So paper towels come out. It's a whole new thing. We're going to get people to try this thing called paper towels. So what they did is they gave you, when you bought a 49-cent roll of paper towels, you got a free $2 rack for the paper towels. How can they afford to do that? Holy mackerel. The paper towel rack costs them more than it does to sell for the 49 cents you just paid for the roll of paper towels. Well, simple, of course. Basically, once you got that rack in the house, you're going to keep filling it up with paper towels to keep it full and all that sort of thing here. I might sell you the razor super cheap, or give you the razor, make the money in the blades. I might sell you a printer super cheap, make the money in the cartridges. We have then loss leader pricing, prices below cost, so much for minimum markups, to attract customers to the store where hopefully they buy other regularly priced items. I just had a good time this past week. I went down to Food World. I got myself a Smithfield spiral sliced ham for $1.89 a pound, and I got another 9 cents a pound off on my Golden Oldie discount. Yeah, it gets me in there. Gee, that's nice, but they hope I'll buy something else. And then I bought a whole bunch of collard greens and some bananas and some ice cream and other stuff like that. Yeah, that's why it's loss leader pricing. So they get people like me who's cherry pickers that do this sort of thing on a regular basis. Then you have bait pricing, bait and switch pricing, like they'll advertise $75 color TV sets, yeah, but there's very few in stock, or they're damaged or just sold. Here's a couple of one-liners to look out for if you're looking at pricing deals. They may say, some items one of a kind. Yeah, there's one of them. It's in Toledo. Or subject to prior sale. Oh, you're going out and you're deciding, holy mackerel, look at this thing here. It's a $80,000 motorhome. They're selling it for $25,000. Subject to prior sale. Well, you go there. Yeah, it's already been sold. Yeah, the guy sold it to his brother-in-law 6 months ago. Subject to prior sale. Back in my Motel 6 days, I was out driving west of Denver, coming in to watch a Rockies game. I'm staying in the Motel 6, like $34, and I keep seeing the signs, billboards coming into the interchange. Here's another motel right across the highway there, $19.99. So I pulled in the Motel 6 and said, hey, what's the story here? You got this place right across the interchange here at $19.99. The guy says, yeah, they got 4 rooms at that price, and they're already sold out months in advance. Otherwise, their cheapest room is $45. Bait and switch. Price bundling. I really do not want Disney, Nickelodeon, Lifetime, or Oxygen, but I got to take them as part of Cox Expanded Cable. The Atlanta Braves got a deal going on. I'm going to get you in price bundling. We get you 4 tickets, plus 4 hot dogs, 4 Cokes, and 4 caps, all for one great big price, and price bundling. So anyhow, that's topic 14. And this is Marketing Fundamentals with Bob.